So you should totally take classes, and then you basically just have to go where the work is. But I think Caitlin Glass said this once, and I agree with her 100%, that if you're gonna try to get into any kind of like dub acting, don't aim at dub acting, aim at just acting in general, because your chances, the broader you cast your net, or the wider you cast your net, the better your chances. I mean, dub acting and voice acting and things like that is a very niche market, and it's so highly competitive for that reason, that if you want to do voice acting, do all kinds of acting. Be willing to do any of it. Be willing to do stage. Be willing to do screen. Be willing to do commercials. I mean, you know, if you want to do it for a living, you have to do a lot. So, and there's always classes. You know, for voice acting in particular, there's a bunch of great books on the subject that can tell you how to get started and where to go. And there's one in particular, I can't remember the author's name right now, but it's called The Art of Voice Acting. It's run in like I think 7 or 8 editions now. And it covers everything. It's awesome. I bought it after I became a voice actor, and I really wish I'd had it a few years before. But it's helped me significantly. But yeah, as a lot of us in this industry say, the first, you know, the key word in voice acting is acting. So find where you can go to learn that part of the craft. And then everything else, you know, when you start doing that, you'll find you make connections to industries, studios, things like that, and suddenly you find yourself in a position to get work. You know, you can't just show up to a studio off the street with a resume and a headshot and expect to get work. I mean, it might happen 1 in a million times, but you can't bank on that kind of luck because it's just foolish. So you have to be smart and always have a backup plan, because no matter how good you are, acting is really, really difficult to get into. So never, ever, ever, always plan on possibly failing at it, and just having a backup plan if things don't work out. That's just life. You have to be prepared for it. Don't mean to be a downer, but that's true, and that's the life of an actor. It's tough. There's a lot of competition, and it's not easy to get into, and it's even harder to stay in. So there you go, kids. So more questions. Do you want to pick someone? Pick someone.
Right there. The one looking around. Is that me?
Have you guys, I'm sorry, I came a little bit late, so I'm just starting to ask, have you guys always wanted to be like voice actors, or did you see yourself like, oh, hey, I think
Well, yeah, it wasn't asked, but towards the beginning we said, I just kind of said it anyways, that we're kind of bad people to have to be up here. Although that thing that you gave was very informative, like, seems pretty good. But we had no ambition. He was forced into an audition, so it was actually a recording session, and I didn't know what voice acting was until I was doing it because I was like 9. So.
What's voice acting? I did. I mean, I wanted to be an actor when I was really young because I loved it. I'll just tell this really quick story. I had a really, really bad stutter when I was a child. Debilitating stutter. It was terrible. Like from the time I should have been able to talk until about 9 years old, I probably, oh man, I mean, I used to walk around with a pad and paper to write stuff on because I couldn't speak half the time. But as I took, you know, I had a lot of great people help me out in that respect, but you know, they could only do so much. I learned when I could read like Shakespeare or play or anything that was written down, if I could recite it, the stutter would disappear. If I had something in front of me, a script, the stutter, I could work through it. So I developed a very early, you know, love of acting because of what it did for me. And it kind of let me speak, really. When, you know, left to my own devices, I couldn't, well, practically couldn't. So when I was really young, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be an actor, you know, but when you're young, you're like, I'm gonna be an astronaut, you know, I wanted to be an astronaut, I wanted to own a lighthouse when I was a kid, I wanted to be Santa Claus. There were so many ridiculous things I wanted to do, but acting was one of them, and I did it a lot when I was young and in high school and in college, and I just never, again, sorry for those of you that were here for this, but I've always been a very practically minded person, so I never thought of making a living at it because it just seemed too hard. And I'm like, there seems to be a lot more easy ways to pay the rent. I'm going to do those. And had I not been tricked into auditioning, I wouldn't be up here now talking about it. So it was luck. And that's the one thing, if I may branch off for a moment and give you my message, and then we'll take another few questions, is like, I always feel kind of guilty because I found this totally by luck. Because there's a lot of people I meet all the time who really want to do this, who are really ambitious and like have the drive and they have talent, you know. It's kind of a rare combination. most people have one or the other, I guess, in my experience. But I've always found that you know, the reality of, for any of you that do really want to get into this business or any kind of acting, regardless of whether it's anime dubbing or stage acting or what have you, is that you really have to be realistic about it and understand the role that luck plays in it. That if you're not in the right place at the right time, it's not going to happen, however talented you might be. Now, you have to be talented. You need to work hard at building your skills and building your craft. But you have to always understand that ultimately, there is no hard and fast series of rules you can follow that'll guarantee you success. I mean, and that's true of anything, but I think, you know, more obviously in acting, especially if you've been in this for a long enough time, you realize this is really luck. I'm here where I am because of luck, and I think if I get more work, you know, if I continue to work and be able to make a living at this, which I'm extremely grateful for, it's because I'm grateful. And so I've always found that, you know, while luck is a huge part of making, you know, anything work for you in your life, especially acting, luck does tend to favor people with the right attitude and people who are humble. So keep that in mind. You know, you can't be that ambitious person that wants to come and like kick the studio door down screaming that, you know, you're going to be the next great voice actor and by God, you better hire me now or this, because people like that don't get hired.
So much as they get blacklisted.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, people, yeah, and people that you see up on panels like this, and, you know, people like Aaron and myself, you know, people, they're nice, they're easy to work with. You know, we're grateful for the good luck we get. And that's like the first rule, I think, of life is it's just be friggin' grateful. And then, you know, learn how to be graceful in defeat if that happens too, but yeah. So, okay, so more questions. I'm totally rambling. We got like another we got like 20 minutes. So we got time.
Cool.
So we have, do you want to pick another one?
How do you scream without hurting your voice? Do you use your diaphragm or something?
Okay, you don't scream and not hurt your voice.
Yeah.
There's really no way around that. You just have to scream and hopefully you only have to do one take.
Right, that's the key, really. I don't think I ever really got to screaming until Ori, actually.
Yeah, you did.
But once I got Ori, I mean, y'all haven't seen it obviously, but if you do, he occasionally just breaks out into screaming for no real good reason. Well, good reason, but...
Good reasons.
But I wouldn't take it the same way as he does, like...
No.
I'm more sit in the corner and cry type, whereas he's more stand in the middle of the street and scream.
He's more existential.
Right. What? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to scream. I think the first time I learned how to scream, I forget the show now, but Mike was directing me, and I'd done a few roles by that time, but they'd always been the really kind of, you know, laid back. They're not very emotive. They don't scream very often. It's the first time I had to do like a fighting scream, like the guy was like charging up, and it I swear to God, it was like a 2-minute scream.
Did you whip it out?
2 minutes, huh?
Did you whip it out the first time?
I passed out. I passed out. I'm in the booth and I'm and I had Mike going, hey, a little longer, you gotta do longer. It was Bexhill, the feature-length film Bexhill, and there's a 9-second shot of this guy's face as he's crashing this helicopter. And it's the bad guy, you know, he's the villain of this show, so you want that screen to be satisfying. You can't be I mean, you know, it's gotta be I'm not even gonna try to do it. And Mike, who's Mike McFarlane, who's a Dragon Ball Z veteran, so he can scream out of his ear if he needs to. Is no, dude, from your gut, you gotta be you know, Mike will tell you exactly what part of your body you should be clenching to get that sound out of your mouth, you know? And he's no, more, up, higher, now. And I couldn't go longer, we timed it, I could not go longer than 7 seconds without it being, and it's still on screen, and I'd be damn it! Don't do that. Okay, get some water, we'll take a break. And then finally, it's I was just so charged. No, I'm gonna do this. It's personal now. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna totally can this scream. And the scream that finally made the final cut is the one where I got it out in 9 seconds. A 9-second long, blood-curdling scream that ended with me passing out on the floor. That dude like a freaking wuss.
That is awesome.
I mean, I didn't pass out for long. It was half a second. I passed out, and the next thing I remember, I was about an inch above the floor, and then I hit it. So my body made sure to be awake for all the key moments of that experience. I was just passed out for the falling. And Mike just kind of goes, "Are you okay?"